Jungle.
Hi, welcome to Prayers Radio. I'm Reverend Rich. This is Reverend
Paul.
And we have a very special guest, Reverend Jeffrey Ryan. You like to go by Jeff, right?
Yep, Jeff's great.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to make sure of that because our studio audience doesn't know, but he's awesome because I've taken a class from him or two and I've interviewed him. He's just one of the best. And I'm going to let him tell a little bit about himself because he's the senior minister for Riverside CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living. And I mean, you've got a resume on here. He sent us this thing and it has all this information. He's Latin. Go and tell us about that. I want to say all this stuff.
Let's do a little invocation first, Rich.
Oh, okay. All right, let's do the invocation. All right, you're got it, Jeff.
Start off with prayer, right? You know.
That's why we're here.
Let's start off with prayer. I mean, I'm just excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm great. I'm so excited and grateful to be here as well. So let's just come together in consciousness, if it's comfortable for you to do so and safe for you to do so, wherever you're watching or listening to us from. I invite you to go ahead and close your eyes and take in a deep, profound breath, recognizing that this breath, the one life, the one infinite eternal that is maintaining and sustaining its beloved creation that brought forth through its breath all of life and all of creation. Knowing that it is truly all that there is. I know that I am one with it, that I am inseparable from it, that the very who of who I am is this one life made manifest. I am a divine emanation and impartation of this one life. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of everyone gathered here this day. Excuse me. And is the one breath that maintains and sustains. As Ernest Holmes called it, it is love. The ever-givingness of spirit, withholding nothing. And so I know that this time together unfolds under grace and in perfect ways, in divine right order and divine right action. That we come together in consciousness and conversation, in holy communion and conscious union with each other, each a divine expression of this one life, each a transparency for the divine. So I do know that this time unfolds under grace and in absolute perfect ways, for it could be no other way. I give thanks for this now, and I release this into law, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. I let it be, and so it is.
So it is.
Sorry.
It's okay. Hey, I got to tell you, this is show number 23, Paul. Can you believe it?
23, just on our way.
Wow.
On our way. So, Jeff, because you might be called Jeff.
Yes.
Well, we got to give the Reverend title first, and then we just go to, hey, I'm actually a human being, just like you. You've done so many interesting things inside of CSL. I mean, give us an overview of who Jeff is. Reverend
Just a
Jeff
quick,
Ryan.
brief overview of my roles within CSL. Well, as you mentioned, I'm the Senior Minister of Riverside Center for Spiritual Living here in Riverside, California. I served as the Visioning Team Chair for 3 years, from 2020 to 2023. I also served as the Chair of the, the Chair of the Global Themes Team, creating the global themes for the organization for 3 years. And I have been an adjunct professor with Centers for Spiritual Living School of Spiritual Leadership at San Diego and Los Angeles campus. And now I'm adding the Latin American campus to that as well. I will be teaching First Ministry, the class that I taught Rich that Rich was part of. So now I'm doing that in Latin America as well. And I'm also working with, I'm also co-chairing the Convention of the Americas held every year in Chapala. It's a bilingual convention, completely bilingual convention, inviting folks from around the globe, but especially Latin America and North America is where we have most of our participants. So that's happening every year and every summer. So we're looking forward to 2026. So there's lots of good stuff happening. That's just a little bit. I mean, I guess what I sent to you guys was longer than that, but I don't remember what it was. So,
well,
that's what's off top of mind now. So there you go.
He also is the 2022 CSL Meritorious Minister.
Yeah. So, AKA Minister of the Year for 2022. Yeah. So
there you go. And si habla español.
Sí, hablo español. Y Nihongo, watashi mo Nihongo ga dekimasu. So, we can speak 3 languages. If you want to do that today, we can do it. Whatever you want to do. Or we can just stay with English.
Nein, ich nicht verstimmt.
Warum? Warum nicht? Warum nicht verstehst?
I speak Swabian. I don't speak German. I mean, they sort of make fun of me over in northern Germany. But anyways.
So just bringing this back to prayer, Jeff.
Yeah.
Can you share with us any tangible results that you got from the use of prayer, especially spiritual mind treatment?
Yeah. So spiritual mind treatment really became, from childhood. It was more like, the childhood prayers, now I lay me. And then we also learned the Lord's Prayer. My grandmother made sure that we learned that. So that's there. But pretty much growing up, I didn't really use prayer until coming into Centers for Spiritual Living and spiritual mind, learning spiritual mind treatment. And what it did is it gave me an opportunity to really see and to have a conversation with the divine. It's not just about speaking; it's about listening. It's not just like putting in your order, if you will, into the universal diner or what have you. It's really also about listening, And so it gave what I loved about the structure of spiritual mind treatment with recognition, unification, realization, thanksgiving, and release is it gave a very clear, logical structure for praying that really allows for a greater understanding and a greater communication with the divine, and to be able to co-create. So, when I first started out, it was more about manifesting and demonstrating things. Princes, palaces, and parking spots. I got my house, I got my prince, and I definitely got a parking spot. So, and then later on, it evolved for me into really supporting me in a larger way. When I got my house, it wasn't that I was praying for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, that was single story and, outlining it, trying to limit God or limit the divine. What it was is I prayed for a place that felt like home, a place that was a sanctuary, a place that would suit my needs, a place that would suit the needs of my dogs, a place that was beautiful and warm and welcoming and supportive, that would nourish my soul and that would feel like a sanctuary. So that's the way I prayed for it. And lo and behold, what eventually happened is when I was praying, that it was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house. It was 2-story, but the principal bedroom was on the first floor, so my aging dogs didn't have to do stairs. Each bedroom was separate in the house, so they had separate places in the house. Each bedroom had its own bathroom. And so later on in my life, when I had folks looking for, a shared space, I was able to open my home to them and have them live in that same space. But had I been so specific before, I would never have gotten the space that was absolutely perfect for me. So don't limit God. God's got something much greater. The divine has got something much greater for you than your own limited mind, your own limited thinking. That's for sure.
Yeah, when we limit the law, we get limited back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you were praying from a feeling part instead of a word part.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I teach my students, you can, yes, words are important. And if all you do is pray love, 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 guess what? It works too.
Mm.
It works
Yeah.
too. Because you're praying with feeling. The universe doesn't respond necessarily to, it does, but it doesn't respond necessarily to specific words. That's why the cancel, cancel, cancel thing just drives me crazy, crazy, crazy. It is the feeling. The universe responds to the belief, and the universe responds to the feeling. And what is the feeling and what is the belief behind it? It's not the words themselves, because you can just do the same with blah 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 blah, right? You can do the same thing, and the universe will respond to the intention. The universe will respond to the feeling. The universe will respond to that. It's not the word specific itself. The words help us as human beings get into greater alignment with what it is that we want to see, what it is that we want to co-create, what it is that we intend. That's where the words come in. For me,
how do you stay grounded in prayer once you're in there?
How do I stay grounded in prayer once I'm in there? Well, once I'm in prayer, I mean, it's not hard to stay grounded in prayer once you're in there. But getting into prayer is more just a centering, and it's a remembering. It's a like I started off at the beginning here, taking a nice deep breath, remembering that there's only one, remembering that that's the truth of who I am, and then relaxing into that and resting into that, and then allowing spirit to have its way. Ernest Holmes said that there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it, which I totally agree with. But the deeper wisdom here is that there's a power for good in the universe and it uses us. And so that's what I mean, that spiritual mind treatment or any kind of prayer is actually a conversation between your higher wisdom self, which is spirit, right? And your conscious self. And there is no separation between those two, though it feels or it appears that there can be a duality. There's not, but it's that kind of a conversation. And so it's just a deep listening. So to stay in that, just recognizing the oneness, recognizing that that's who I am, recognizing the truth of my being, that's what keeps me grounded in and stayed in prayer, as I move throughout, the day.
Oh, perfect. Want to take the next one, Rich?
Yeah, I was going to say you talked about the grounding, but how do you prepare for your day? Do you just wake up and say, "I'm good with God"? And what is it that you do?
I love Wayne Dyer's, immediate gratitude. The feet hit the floor, and it's an immediate thank you. It's just an immediate gratitude for the day. Then what I do is I focus in on aligning with my vision, aligning with my values. There's certain scriptures that I have been working with over the years in contemplative meditation that are, guideposts for me. I and them and you and me, that we may be brought together in complete unity as one. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I have meat to eat that ye know not of. These are all phrases, scriptural phrases that I've worked with in contemplative meditation. And so then those then become the first thoughts of my day and the guiding force of my day, so that I'm living in greater alignment. So it prepares my day because I start my day there. So, and if I start my day in unity and oneness, because for me, the vision that I live daily, and I'm all about living your vision. So the vision that I live daily is to help people feel accepted, included, and a sense of belonging. And so if I can do that with every interaction that I have, then I know that I'm living in greater alignment with my vision, right? With my overall vision, with the vision that comes through visioning, that I'm living in that moment. So I'm having an infinite impact with every interaction. If I just remember acceptance, inclusion, belonging. Acceptance, inclusion, belonging. This is what I want people to take away from When they're with me, this is what I want them to experience when they're with me, and it's also what I want them to remember or take away with them, that they have felt accepted, they felt included, they have felt a greater sense of belonging, which then leads, of course, to a greater sense of wholeness and oneness. So that's my driving factor. So I put that forefront, and I put that forefront with every interaction. So before we came on today, for example, then I just reviewed that. I was like, okay, I know I've got this in my head, this in my heart, in my consciousness. This is what I'm bringing forth. So I found living this way, living in prayer all the time, and I'm also living my vision all the time.
Now,
Right.
you talked in our pre-conversation,
Uh-huh.
hidden stuff, folks. You talked that prayer and visioning were sort of intermixed in your life on that. Do you want to give a quick definition of visioning and then maybe how that applies to prayer in your life?
Yeah, so visioning was created, life visioning was created or downloaded, if you will, through Michael Bernard Beckwith. It is a meditative practice in which we go within, turn within, and we ask a series of questions, opening up to Spirit's highest idea of our lives or our work or our centers or what have you. You can pretty much use it for anything, but you're opening up to Spirit's highest idea because you're opening up to the higher the higher wisdom that's available to each and every one of us. You're opening up to the greater mind that can then download through our minds and through our consciousness because we are inseparable from it. So we open to Spirit's highest idea, and then we ask a series of questions of what must be released, what must be embraced, and what must we embody, what must we become, and then finally, is there anything else to be known at this time? And we simply make this inquiry, the sacred inquiry, in the silence and allow Spirit to respond. It creates an opening to allow Spirit to respond, and however it responds, sometimes it's words, sometimes it's sound, sometimes it's sights, smells, what have you, any of the senses. And sometimes it's nothing, which is perfectly beautiful as well. Sometimes it's just quiet. But what this process then does, it allows us then to see how we can better live in alignment with what Spirit's highest idea is, because Spirit always has a higher idea than what our limited minds, our limited human minds could possibly come up with. So we're opening up to that greater idea, that greater purpose, that greater, the greater wisdom, and then living from that place. So then with prayer, then the way that ties in is it helps, that visioning really helps with that listening piece, like I was talking about earlier, that prayer is a conversation, right? It's not just me talking to God and putting in my order, but that it's a deep listening as well. And so visioning helps with that. And the form of spiritual mind treatment really helps structure, and we can use it to support visioning in that we're not praying for the vision to be manifest. We're not trying to force the vision to be manifest. The vision is the vision. Where our work is in the release, embrace, embody, become. And so then that's where our prayer work really happens, is in the release, embrace, embody, become. So if what's been revealed is that I need to release fear of being seen, right? Fear of visibility, for example. Then I can take that into prayer. And then I can know the truth about that, of releasing the fear of being visible, that Spirit has me, that there's only one power, there's only one presence, that I am divinely guided and guarded and supported and maintained, and no harm could come to me, right? That would be then what I would put into prayer to then help me then release the fear of being visible, for example.
So it's just a better way to focus is what you found.
It's a
On what you
better
want to
way of focusing, which the prayer is a better way of focusing on me coming into alignment with the larger vision, is what I would say.
And when you mention Spirit, you don't mean something outside of yourself, correct?
No.
It's Spirit as you.
Spirit as me, Spirit as each one of us. Yeah, no.
Right.
I mean, there's only one thing happening here. There's only one life happening here, and that's Spirit. It's just showing up as the three of us, or whomever else is watching, listening, right? But no, yeah, it's definitely Spirit within that
Now,
higher wisdom self.
Have you seen over time how your prayer has evolved?
Oh yeah. Like I said, from little kid time, it was, the rote prayers that were taught as children, to SMT, praying for things, to demonstrate things. And then it became SMT, spiritual mind treatment, to with the feeling, kind of like what I was sharing about the house, or SMT to support my own spiritual growth, like I was just sharing about visioning. And now with prayer, where it's evolved to for me is I rarely do full-blown spiritual mind treatments for myself. Usually where I find that is when I am anchoring visioning or when I'm praying with others. Because what I find with myself now is that I drop into that space that we call recognition and unification. And then it's just an affirmation. And then gratitude and release. So I'm not necessarily saying, speaking the words of recognition and unification as much as dropping into that known sense, that embodiment. And then in that embodiment, then affirming truth. And you're usually affirming spiritual truth rather than, princes, palaces, and parking spots.
And when you say embody, you mean the feeling, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a deep feeling, that I don't need to. And I think this is where visioning and spiritual mind treatment or prayer have really come together and worked well for me, is that because I can tap in so quickly because of the visioning process, it doesn't take me long to feel that unification within me, so that I'm not having to kind of convince myself through recognition and unification that there's only one life and that life is God and that life is perfect and that life is my life now. I'm not having to try and convince myself of that with anything. It's just a dropped in, a known sense, a felt sense, an embodied sense, and then it's a deep knowing from within. So when I teach knowing, like there's that phrase that we know that we know that we know, right? So when I teach that phrase or when I teach that concept, there's the knowing here, there's the I know, which is a conscious knowing. It's a mental or intellectual awareness. Then there's a heart awareness, an emotional knowing, right? And then there is the gut awareness or the gut knowing, which is, it kind of becomes your intuition. So it's a I know, and then the gut that I know, right? But I've, since working with the Latin American community, our Latin American practitioners and directores espirituales, spiritual directors, who are ministers in Latin America, I've also come to recognize that there is this knowing as well, the knowing of the hand. So it's a I know that I know that I know that I know. And what this knowing is it's a deeper embodiment, so much so that you begin to live your life, you begin to share it, you begin to express it out into the world and sharing it with others. So it becomes a knowing of action rather than just an internal knowing. As Ernest Holmes said, right, that, treat and move your feet. It's not just about prayer. You also have to accompany that with action, And so this I know that I know that I know that I know is that deeper embodiment. So
Yeah, I like how Ernest Holmes, what you just said, treat and be inspired to move your feet.
yeah,
So that inspiration, and they always say it's easier to know than to explain how you know. And
right,
that's what you're talking about.
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
at a deeper level of knowing, you can't really explain it. You just know.
So we're at the 5 minute mark, and so what we want to mainly get from you is your take on how do you explain this philosophy to somebody that has no clue about what we're talking about.
The way I usually explain it is that Ernest Holmes, the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living and founders of this philosophy, studied all the great world's traditions, both religious traditions and philosophies and science as well, and found the golden thread of truth in all of it. And in all of that, there is a oneness. In all of it, it comes down to there is only one. And we see quantum physics demonstrating this, today as well. So it comes down that there's only one, and that we are inseparable, that we're all made of the same one, that we are all the same energy, the same life force, just showing up in different forms. And so because of this only one, there's that infinite intelligence that has this great order here. And we are conscious, and consciousness is the ground of all being. And so we are then able to tap into that same consciousness that created us to co-create our own reality, to co-create our lives, to co-create our own reality. And so very simply put, we change our thinking, we change our life. But it's not just changing our thinking, it's changing what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about the world, how we see the world, how we see our perspectives, and taking responsibility for that. And in so doing, then we have a greater impact in the world.
Wow, that's perfect. Now, is there a favorite Ernest Holmes quote that you like?
Yes, and of course, it has to do with visioning, right? Actually, it comes from Sermon by the Sea. It's the very last line of Sermon by the Sea, and which he gave at Asilomar in 1959, his last Asilomar. And it says, "I trust a vision and an inspiration, something beyond hope and longing, that the living Spirit shall through us walk anew into its own creation, and a new glory will come with a new dawn."
Wow, perfect.
Now, our favorite one is, and don't say Science of Mind, and don't say the thing you called you. What is your favorite Ernest Holmes book?
I like Living the Science of Mind, actually. Living the Science of Mind.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why I like that one is because I am, even with all of the mystical and ethereal and what have you that I love, I am also very practical and down to earth about it all. And so what I love about Living the Science of Mind is that it's practical applications. It's the larger teachings distilled down into smaller bite-sized, perhaps even more readable chunks, and that it's practical. It talks about practical application. And I'm all about the practical application. We can talk theory all day long. That's one of the things that, Science of Mind, we have a tendency to want to get in our heads. And, I've already shared, I'm about the embodiment. So, give me the practical. It does no good if I can't practice it. So,
that's right. Where's the meat?
Yeah, exactly. I have meat to eat that you know not of. There you
go. Well, we're at our 3-minute mark, so I just wanted to check in with you. You're currently preaching, if I want to say it that way, at Riverside CSL.org, correct?
Yes, Riverside CSL.org is where you can find us. Yep. You can find us on Sundays on YouTube and Facebook. We live stream at 11 a.m. Pacific time, so you can find us there. So,
and you have Jeff Ryan, Jeffrey Ryan Coaching.com also is your personal site, correct?
JeffRyanCoaching.com. Yeah, it's Jeff Ryan. It's JeffRyanCoaching.com. And that's my personal website. You can go there, where I share with you visioning and alignment, getting folks into alignment, reinventing themselves, where I'm really using the applications that we have here in our faith and philosophy in a real way to help folks out. So there's all kinds of ways for you to work with me. Getting into alignment is one of them, and visioning is yet another. So that's a great place. So JeffRyanCoaching.com. And then
that was the tap.
Huh? Yeah.
That was the tap.
Yeah.
And you have a book, I think.
Yeah, we have a book coming out next week, Tuesday, on September 9th. I am part of an anthology called Infinite Impact, Stories of Alignment. And in that, you can read my story, Playing Fort. It talks about me really having built walls in my life early on, and then realizing they became a prison and then breaking through them. And so that's in that book too. So go to Amazon and order that. That is Infinite Impact Stories of Alignment. That happens on, that is coming out on Tuesday, September 9th. And, you can order the Kindle then too, and then you have it in your hot little hands immediately. You don't have to wait for Prime to deliver it to you the next day or a few days later and start reading it. And it's great. I'm in it with 13 or 12 other authors, all talking about the infinite impact of getting into alignment, really getting into alignment and living from that place of alignment.
So what we'll do is we'll put that inside the show notes, plus all the information that you've given us. Paul, do you want to ask the last question, the takeaway one?
Which one? I think we've answered everything, right?
No. What is the thing that you want our listeners and viewers to take away from this talk?
That really the answer lies within. That the Spirit is within you. It is guiding you. It is directing you. It is, imparting its wisdom to you constantly. Just listen. Listen. Use the tools of visioning. Use the tools of spiritual mind treatment. Use the tool of prayer. Attune with it. Get in alignment with it. And your life will unfold in ways that you cannot even begin to possibly imagine.
Perfect.
And so it is.
So it is. So we'll have you pray us out, and then we will call it a day. And how awesome it is to have you here.
It's been great to be with both of you as well. So once again, just returning into that place of consciousness, recognizing the one life, and how grateful I am to have had this conversation with these beloveds, and the beloveds listening and watching, knowing that this conversation has been enriching for all. I am grateful for the love and the joy and the opportunity that has been shared here with me as well. I'm so grateful for this beautiful expression and for this ministry that Rich and Paul have stepped into, sharing the importance of prayer, answering the call on their lives, and inviting others into their playground so that we may play together. And so I simply let this be. And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Hey,
I'm
thank
Reverend
you,
Rich. This is Reverend Paul, and we are Prayers Radio, and we want to say a big thank you again to Reverend Jeff Ryan. And I said that because that's the whole thing. And we will see you next week, and have a great day, and everybody say goodbye.
Hey,
Bye. Thank you, everybody. It's great to be with you guys.